Hey friends, it is March 6th. It's a Monday and we are finally going to be finishing up Lost Stick. Pretty much the only thing that was left to do was the cover art. It's really funny because with That's Not My Name, it was probably like the easiest book that I've ever worked on in my life, where everything, like I'd done like the dummy beforehand, and once it got picked up by Penguin, it didn't go through any changes. I had like a couple of notes for, you know, the spelling, grammar, but there were no changes to the manuscript. There were no changes to the artwork. It was just easy peasy. I got it done so quickly. Lost Stick, however, has been, it is totally normal, but like this has just gone through the ringer. It has gone through so many changes, both in the artwork and the writing. When it came time to figuring out what the cover artwork should be, we have spent 2 months trying to figure that out. I had submitted like countless iterations and we went through so many tweaks.
Hey, this is Anoosha from the editing side of things. I just wanted to pop in and let you know that I have another video that I made, which is called How to Design and Illustrate a Picture Book Cover. And in that video, I had gone over all of the sketches that did not make the cut for this cover, all 18 of them, and I go over it in a little bit more detail. So I'll link that video below and check it out. Anyway, onto the vlog.
Finally, last Friday, we decided on the cover. Yeah, the journey's almost done and we're gonna work on this cover. I've had a very long break since I last painted a piece for a book. Prior to this, if you remember, I did paint the end of papers and the interior, like the case cover, but I didn't do any paper cut stuff to it. Because this is the actual cover, we are gonna be doing like a lot of paper cut stuff. Like that's kind of like the draw of the book and I really want to highlight that. So yeah, we're gonna, you know, get back to it, figure this out. I just printed it out. Hopefully it's at the right size. And yeah, let's go. Because I hadn't done this with any of my other pages, I wanted to walk you guys through the entire process of how I actually do this. For like my traditional pages, I had sketched out my initial cover concept on my iPad and I have printed it out on Adobe Acrobat, and I printed it out at like 120% larger because I like to work a little bit larger than usual. So I've cut up all of the pieces and now I'm just going to go in and tape them all together as evenly as I can. And then we're going to match it up with the size of paper that I have left over. This was a really bad one. Okay, I'm just gonna go over and like put these all together. You might not be able to see what I'm drawing that clearly because I have to like draw pretty lightly so it doesn't show up under my paint. When I'm painting something like this that involves paper cutting, I do have to do quite a bit of planning before I start anything. I have to decide which pieces I want to be paper cut and which pieces are gonna lay flat. So I know for sure 100% these hedges at the front are going to be paper cut. I'm gonna have like one layer of actual like base hedges. And then on top of that, I'm gonna layer a bunch of like smaller flowers and leaves, etc. Stick is for sure gonna be paper cut. I think Lost Stick, the title, will be paper cut. Milo will be paper cut. These question marks will be paper cut. What won't be collage is going to be the sky, this grassy hill. And I was debating about this, but I think that Louise is also going to be part of this base layer that we have. When I have that sorted and I'm working on this page, then I know that I'm not going to be drawing everything here right now. I'm really only focusing on key pieces. I've drawn out my grassy hill. Because I have these hedges in front over here, it doesn't make sense for me to paint all the way down. So I've indicated a line over here of where I'm gonna stop painting just because I don't wanna waste any paint that like no one's gonna see. I've done this hedge line and I'm gonna work on Louise. And then I've left a little bit of space on the side. I'm probably gonna write Lost Stick here as well as my question marks. And then I'm gonna grab another sheet to put Milo and the hedges, and then another sheet for the back cover here. Hey friends, it is time to paint. I put up both of my main sheets over here because I know exactly what all of the colors I'm going to be using. I can, you know, if I know I'm going to be using red here, I can reuse it somewhere else. If I'm using blue here, I can reuse it over here, and so on. And it's just going to be super efficient.
On the side here, I have my tea, I have my palette, and a lot of these colors I had used for the end papers and the title page. And I'm going to be reusing some of these colors, so that works out pretty great for me. So I'm going to reuse as much of this as I can and just add onto it when needed. I have my reference here. I have 2 cups of water this time. I had heard a tip a long time ago about like have 1 cup of water for cleaning your brushes and the other for using for water, like if I want to thin out some paint and like add more water to it, which makes sense because you don't want to add like dirty caca water to your yellow, right? And you know what, I'll start with my big flats and then go in with smaller details afterwards, just so I feel like I'm very accomplished and I'm getting a lot of work done. Yeah, let's start with flats. Beige, green. This is the tree, and that's gonna be a lighter green. Then my 2 pink bushes, then my tree, and then I'll go in for my characters and all these small details, and then I cut. Thankfully, I still have quite a few cuttings left over. If you see that green little pencil thing over there, that has all of my colored paper cuttings. As you can see, I have quite a few in there. Hopefully I can snip everything I need. This paint is really stinky. I'm not really sure why. And oh my god, it actually smells pretty bad. I just gave it a sniff. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure why. Because I'm mixing 2 paints together, we have the Keys regular gouache and then the Holbein acrylic gouache. I don't know which one is causing the stink factor. And mixing these 2 paints, I think I'm pretty happy with the color that's coming out of it. It could be maybe a little brighter, but I think I'm good with it. One thing that I've been doing with this book is adding like a little white blank outline when going around my characters. Initially, it was just kind of like a practical thing, and I was like thinking that I would just fill it in digitally afterwards, but it ended up being like a pretty nice like stylistic touch. So I started doing it just like this, and then I would like actually manually, when it came time to like digitally do my edits, I would like sometimes add in these like blank spots just for funsies. Definitely I feel like going traditional has made a difference on my digital work, because like as you know, for like my digital work I try to emulate the look of traditional media. But I was never a traditional artist, right? Like I did a little bit in school, but nothing else really beyond that. And so when I was like trying to emulate it, I was mostly doing it based off of like looking and studying artists who work traditionally. If you're really trying to do a good imitation, if you want to like really emulate that look, then you have to understand it on a deeper level. And that can, now I understand, can only really be done if you are using traditional media, because then you really understand how the paint works, like how like these mistakes are made. Yeah, so I definitely feel like doing this has also inadvertently upped my art a bit. Okay, the sky is done. Before I move on to the grass, I'm going to use up the last of my beige that I have on my palette and use it for this little paper pile here and my paper flyers there. So for this green grass, I'm using a combination of cork yellow and light linden green. But weirdly enough, both of these shades are like not opaque at all. It's very, what's the opposite of opaque? See-through. It's kind of annoying. Like, you see this? I'm kind of wondering what to do, if I should add another green to this to give it some more body, doing like a second layer, but I really don't want to do that. I'll at least start with this and then see from there if it needs like an additional layer or not. So I ended up adding in an additional color, and it's way too dark. You can kind of see the comparison here. But because I've mixed all this paint, I don't want to waste it. Okay, yeah, you know what? I'll use it for the tree, and then I'll figure this out in a bit.
Yeah, so I was gonna start painting my pink little bushes over here, and these guys are gonna be pretty bright fluorescent. Again, new paints here, 2 acrylic washes. I think I'm gonna heavily focus on this one. And I've got a couple of like regular bright pink washes. I've got Opera, which I think might be a little bit too highlighter over here. I want to keep it pretty warm and muted. So I think this might work pretty well. I also have this pale coral, but I think that I want to stick with the acrylic wash for this. Okay, this is the rose, which might look as bright as the opera, but it's not as highlighter. This is a really nice color. I do like adding just like a tiny smidge, like the tiniest bit to add a bit of vibrancy sometimes. But I think I'm gonna go in with a combo of these two and really just kind of like splotch, splotch, splotch the color on top. Or maybe start with this, layer this, layer this. Yeah, we're gonna try that out.
I don't have much to say for the next few minutes. It's just gonna be me painting and collaging and all of that other fun stuff. So just enjoy. I'm gonna put some music on and yeah, let's go.
Okay, my 2 pieces have been completed. It is a really snowy day today. Jeez Louise, I was really hoping for some sunlight so I could digitize these pieces, but I guess it actually worked out because it is like decently bright with the snow, and direct sunlight might have been bad. But anyway, you can see I've got my camera set up, and initially I wanted to scan these pieces, and if you might recall, I did kind of like a combination of hiring a professional photographer as well as scanning these pieces and kind of like mixing them together because the photographs weren't exactly what I wanted them to be. I could not hire this photographer again kind of last minute because I need to submit this today. And so initially I thought I would attempt to photograph this myself with my camera. This is my kind of janky setup that I have, but using some YouTube videos and taking a lot of photos, I tried to capture it as best as I could. And then I stitched them together like so. And I think it doesn't look too bad. And it is a pretty high quality. And there is like this nice bit of crisp shadow. I haven't done any color correcting at all yet. So that's probably going to be my next stage. At this time, I was just like uploading and then stitching it together. This is the back cover that I have over here. I only realized afterwards I've got like these weird little dots all over, and I guess I might have had like a little bit of a water spot on my camera lens that I just didn't see, and it has just come up over all over just because I was restitching a bunch of, you know, smaller pieces of this image together. But I can very easily get rid of these. Next thing I'm gonna do is I have my book cover template that I'm working off of, and I'm going to copy these over and just like make sure they are the correct size and then extend them out if needed. And then I'll go in with my corrections and color editing. And then finally, I'll take it over to Procreate and do the last of my little touch-ups, and then it should be done. Okay, I have finally set up my file. It is on my iPad now. I did as much color correction as I could, but I think I'm gonna try to keep it as raw as I can and then go in afterwards. So here I am adding in a couple final details, fixing up the faces. I added in these faces onto my already established like white faces here. Actually, I have to put in like a red bandana on this one. Don't really know what I'm gonna do for this background. Initially, I just had it blank so I could choose later on. I do kind of like it blank, but of course I'll just have to make sure to repaint Milo and Louise's shirt if I do decide to keep it blank, but I'm not 100% sure if I will or not. Just in case, I've just put this here. Next up, I've started a little bit on this one, but I think I'm gonna move on to this because it's more important. There's too many shadows all along the edges, so like that's gonna be the first thing to fix up. And then just little details here and there. There's not too much I need to do, but her face is gonna be one that I have to really touch up to better match with this face I've got going on. Yeah, and hopefully I can get this done in the next hour. It's Anoosha from the future. Yeah, this is quite a while ahead. We're in April 10th now, like a whole month and a bit, I think, after completing this cover. I just think it looks so good. I'm actually super happy with how this turned out. So we did do a couple of corrections here and there. I ended up making the background much lighter and even toned, and then matched this background to this. Fixed up the faces, as you can see here. I painted kind of like at scale, but remember this is the jacket art and it's pretty big and it has to like wrap around the cover. And so the margins have to go, you know, the bleed has to be quite big all around, and I didn't really account for that, or I did. And then I made all of this like beautiful paper cut stuff that I did not want to cut out, because then I would have like cropped it from here, and I was like, what a waste. I spent so much time making these beautiful paper cuts. So then using the Photoshop clone tool, content aware, whatever, I just like added a bit more to the bottom. You can kind of see that over here where like it has duplicated a little weirdly in the corners, but I think it's a pretty interesting touch, like how it repeats. Anyway, my art director decided to go with like pink for the interiors, and I think they look super cute. One thing you might notice is that we did not keep the blue cursive for the title,
which I really wish we did, but everyone liked the block letters, and I'm a big fan of this one as well. If you remember, this is on the title page and the case cover, so I am happy that we were able to reuse this for another part as well. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this little look into how I illustrate parts of the picture book. As you can see, it can take a lot of work to just even do stuff like the cover. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed it. This book is available in all bookstores. I hope that you like the book, and thank you for your support. I'm going to be posting another video soon for my next book, Sorry Sisters, so keep an eye out on that. And anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!